What if I told you 9 experienced hikers disappeared in the Ural Mountains in 1959, and what was found later terrified investigators so much they sealed the files for decades? A torn tent in the snow, bodies scattered across the mountainside. Some were missing their eyes, even their tongues, traces of radiation, and deadly, freezing temperatures. But no one could explain what really happened. This isn't some horror story made up to scare you. This actually happened. And even now, decades later, no one truly knows what killed those hikers. So let's go back in time and unravel one of the most chilling, unexplained mysteries of the 20th century, the Dyatlov Pass Incident. In February 1959, 10 Soviet hikers, mostly students from the Ural Polytechnic Institute, set out on a skiing trip deep into the frozen Ural Mountains. They were young, strong, and knew what they were doing, but only one of them would make it back alive, because he turned around early, not knowing he'd just saved his life. The other 9, they never made it back, and what happened to them would go on to shock the entire world. The journey begins. Let's go back to where it all began. The group was led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov. Alongside him were both men and women, every one of them experienced in surviving tough, frozen terrain. Their goal was Mount Otorten, a remote peak known for its brutal conditions. Only the most skilled hikers dared to try it. At first, everything seemed fine. They laughed, took photos, played music, wrote happy notes in their group diary. It was just another adventure. But on February 1st, something changed. The group went off course and set up camp on the snowy slopes of a mountain called Kholat Syakhl. In the local Mansi language, that name means Mountain of the Dead. They were never seen alive again. The discovery days passed, then weeks, and when no one heard from the group, a search team finally went looking. What they found made no sense. The hiker's tent had been found, torn wide open, but not from the outside, from the inside. It wasn't unzipped. It was slashed, as if someone inside was desperate to get out. Their belongings were still in the tent. Shoes, jackets, even food. Nothing was taken. But outside, barefoot footprints led into the deep snow. In sub-zero temperatures, the first 2 bodies were found near a tree. Almost no clothes, burn marks on their skin, and their knuckles broken, like they'd been in a fight. But with what or who? 3 more bodies turned up later, frozen solid. Their final positions looked like they were trying to crawl back to the tent. But the remaining 4? They were discovered months later, buried under 4 meters of snow, with horrifying injuries. 1 had a crushed skull, 2 had broken ribs, 1 woman was missing her tongue, eyes, and part of her lips. No external wounds, no animal bites, just pure blunt force trauma, as if they'd been hit by something unexplainable. Official investigations. Soviet investigators were baffled. The final cause of death was ruled as a compelling natural force. But what did that mean? Why was there radiation on some of the clothing? Why was the skin of several bodies orange-tinted and their hair turned gray? Why were their injuries so severe, with no external marks? And why did the government suddenly classify the case and restrict access to files for decades? Rumors swirled. Locals reported orange lights in the sky that night. Some blamed a Soviet weapons test gone wrong. Others whispered about aliens, paranormal forces, or even a Yeti. No theory made complete sense. Theories and madness. What happened that night? No one agrees. But here are the theories people still whisper about. 1. The avalanche theory. The official explanation. They say a sudden slab of snow hit the tent. The group panicked, fled without shoes or coats. Some froze. Others were injured in the chaos. But here's the thing. There was no solid avalanche evidence. The slope, too shallow. The snow, barely moved. 2. The infrasound theory. Some experts claim strong winds created a strange low-frequency sound, one that causes nausea, dread, even hallucinations. Could that explain the panic? Maybe, but it can't explain the broken bones, the burns, the missing eyes and tongue. 3. A Soviet military test. Radiation on the clothes, burn marks on the skin, strange lights seen in the sky that night. What if they wandered into a secret weapons test? What if they were silenced? 4. Something paranormal. The mountain was called Kholat Syakhl by the native Mansi. It means Mountain of the Dead. Some say the hikers disturbed something ancient, something that watched them and waited. Was it aliens? Spirits? A creature never seen again? We'll never know. No theory explained. No theory explains everything. And maybe that's the scariest part. Legacy and unanswered questions. More than 60 years later, the Dyatlov Pass incident still haunts us. Books, documentaries, horror films, all trying to answer the same chilling question. What happened that night? The only survivor, Yuri Yudin, turned back early due to illness. He lived his whole life with the same nightmare. What really happened to my friends? He died in 2013. Still searching, still wondering. Today, with satellites, AI, and high-tech forensics, We've solved thousands of mysteries, but not this one. So, what do you think happened in the cold silence of 1959? Was it a force of nature? A government cover-up? Or something beyond human understanding? Drop your theory in the comments. And remember, some mysteries were never meant to be solved.